Welcome to this Introduction to Payday Filing webinar. This webinar was recorded on the 24th of October 2018. Jodi Millar, Attaché's Product Manager, takes us through what we need to be aware of for payday filing.
Okay, so Attaché 18.3 is our payday filing release for New Zealand as well. That has all the required desktop functionality basically for payday filing. The only thing you can really see in the software is that new payday filing option on the workflow. And what that will do is that will launch Attaché online. It actually runs a few checks as well to make sure that you're all set up and ready to go for payday filing and provides the user with some information if potentially they're not. Otherwise, it will log them onto Attaché online in order to start the payday filing process. We've been running some payday filing seminars around New Zealand, so I'm just going to go through some of the information from that. Mostly, I guess, aimed at the Australian partners who maybe aren't that aware of what's happening with payday filing. So I'm just going to run through that quickly to give you a bit of background to payday filing, and then I'll go through and show you what our proposed solution is and discuss a little bit about some of the differences between payday filing and STP as well. So we've got a payday filing checklist, similar to what we had for STP. If you do have clients that are running a New Zealand payroll, direct them to our website so they can get the payday filing checklist. Again, we've created the three versions, the Attaché clients, generic one, and one for advisors too. The steps are relatively similar, appoint a payday filing champion, but then obviously some of the integration steps, I guess, between Attaché and Inland Revenue are quite different than what we had to do for the ATO. So it's a good thing to direct New Zealand payroll clients too, just so that they're aware of what they need to do to make sure they're ready. We had the Inland Revenue present our seminars in New Zealand. So basically, payday filing is part of a bigger tax administration transformation project for them. And their aims of doing that are to grow voluntary compliance by making it easier for people to get it right, reduce compliance costs, and make it easier for government policy changes to be more to make them more quickly and more cost effectively as well. Payday filing, what's different for an employer? So in New Zealand at the moment for New Zealand payroll, you have to file an EMS, which is an employer monthly schedule. And so that's basically a monthly record of the gross earnings for employees, PAYE, student loan, child support, KiwiSaver, all the information that we file through to the Inland Revenue for New Zealand. So instead of an EMS, they're going to be filing what we call an employment information file. So that's an EI file or an EI return. Some additional information is required in that return, so the ESCT, pay period start and end dates, and pay cycles as well at the employee line level. And then the payday date goes in the header of that file as well, so that the Inland Revenue knows what date that pay actually occurred on. Basically, they've moved from a monthly schedule, which contains all the details for the month, to a payday type schedule with a bit of extra information because it's no longer monthly. Regardless of whether the employees are paid weekly, fortnightly or monthly, you do need to send the employment information within 2 working days after their payday. In New Zealand, there is no 19 and under rule or anything. Everybody must payday file and must file that within 2 working days of their payday, unless they're under the the electronic filing threshold, which is about 7, I think, employees on minimum wage. So not many of our clients. In that case, they can still file by paper. They still need to payday file though, but they get 10 days with which to do that. So generally 2 working days after payday for all New Zealand payroll clients. What else is new? In addition to the employment information file, there's also an employee details file. So that's the details of new and departing employee details. So the intent of the employee details is to replace the IR330, KS1 and KS10. So those are like your TSN declaration in Australia. They're the files that they have in New Zealand for your tax number, tax file number, IRD number, and the KiwiSaver information as well. So some information that's required in the employee details is the start and end dates and contact details for the employment as well. Date of birth, if available. The Inland Revenue have done something a bit unusual with this. So employers have to ask for the date of birth, and if the employee provides the date of birth, we have to supply it to the Inland Revenue, but the employee doesn't have to provide the date of birth. So it's just a bit of a tricky one, that one. But if there is a date of birth, obviously in Attaché, we will be sending that through. You need to file the employee details on or before your new employee's first payday, and for departing employees, you should report when they come off your payroll. Payment dates and methods remain the same. So at the moment we have to pay monthly, all of the deductions and withholdings. So those remain the same and you still have to pay them. And you can adjust previously filed employment information either via the same channel it was filed or through MyIR, which is sort of like our MyGov, I guess, in New Zealand. There was going to be a requirement to continue to file the IR 345, which is the deductions form, which went alongside the payment, but the Inland Revenue have changed that in the last couple of weeks, and they're actually going to generate that IR 345 based on the employment information files. And for adjustments, like it says, I guess that's probably a key difference between STP and payday filing. A payday filing return only includes the information for that payday. There's no concept of year-to-date payments, so each and every return must be correct. And if you want to, you can't just sort of, I guess, rely on the next one to correct the year-to-date figures. You'll need to actually correct the previously filed employment information file if it is incorrect. Will be able to be corrected through the software at some point in the future. They can't at the moment, but you can log into MyIR, like I said, and correct it through there. There's a lovely diagram from the Inland Revenue about what payday filing is. Employer puts information in their software, the software sends it to the Inland Revenue system. In New Zealand, MyIR credentials are used for the authentication purposes. So most of your New Zealand payroll sites will already have MyIR credentials and they'll be using them at the moment to upload the EMS. And it's basically, they'll need to check the delegations on their account, but they should be okay with that. There's no sort of AUSKey or any of that stuff in New Zealand. It's just that MyIR credentials that are required. Some of the benefits Inland Revenue see coming from it, seamless filing for payday reporting. You'll be able to set up a new employee with the right information from the start, so that Inland Revenue will be able to tell us much sooner. Basically, if you've set up an employee and they don't have the right tax code or IRD number or a KiwiSaver member or not, at the moment it sort of takes a couple of months for the Inland Revenue to catch up that that's wrong, and then they sort of send a letter in the mail, and by the time the payroll person gets it, there's been a lot of incorrect deductions, I guess, that have happened. It's surprising, you wouldn't think people would get their IRD numbers wrong, but apparently they get a significant amount of people that fill out the declarations using a bank IRD number because it's come in on their statement. It's not actually their number though, it's the bank's IRD number or GST number. You can also pre-populate information and confirm the employee details as well as making amendments easier. That's some of the common questions that I have. I'm not going to go into those too much detail today. I only employ one other person. Do I need to payday file? Yes. Ad hoc pays. You can roll ad hoc pays up into the next filing. The way we've implemented it with having it as part of process pays, we probably recommend that you just file it straight after process pays. If there is an ad hoc pay that occurs towards the end of the month and the next regular pay is going to be in the following month, then you can't actually roll that ad hoc pay up into the one for the following month anyway. So it's probably easier and best practice just to do it as you pay it. Christmas time, can we file in advance? Yes, you can file in advance in New Zealand because it's 2 working days. There are no working days between the 25th of December and the 15th of January, I think. So any pays during that period don't need to be filed till 2 working days after that anyway. If you have employees who are paid monthly and fortnightly, they can all go through in the same file if they're being paid on the same day. If they're being paid on different days, obviously they'll be each go through in different files. So payday filing, compulsory 1st of April for everybody. You need to, when clients start using payday filing, they need to start at the start of a month. So they need to file the previous month's employer monthly schedule. So if they wanted to start in December, for example, they'd need to have all of November covered by their EMS, the employer monthly schedule, and file that EMS as per normal. And then they'd need to start payday filing for the first payday they have in December, because obviously that's when you switch over from monthly to payday filing. And they're also said to set up and check necessary delegations in MyIR. We've got that covered in our checklist as well. Cool. So our payday filing solution, I'll go through and show you what that's going to look like. There's a payday filing button on the workflow that will take them through and launch payday filing and log into Attaché Online if they're not logged in. The first screen they'll see is this log on to online services. So the login to online services is MyIR credentials. All of the New Zealand payroll sites should have MyIR credentials, and this screen should be familiar to them, and they should be aware of what this is, basically, because they're already using the MyIR website to file that monthly EMS. The first time they access it through this portal and select login, they'll actually get an authorization message, which essentially authorises Attaché Payroll to file on their behalf. Once they click OK on that message, they've opted into Payday filing, and we can then store their MyIR credentials or the authorization token for that, and then communicate on their behalf with the Inland Revenue direct through to the Inland Revenue servers. So once you've logged in, you'll see the Payday filing batch screen, which looks very similar to your STP one, so hopefully it's not too foreign to those of you that have already implemented STP. And you can see each of the returns that are there, the EI returns, the employment information returns that are available. Confirmation, the status of the batches displays there as well. And if you select on a batch that's ready to submit, for example, this one here, it'll go and show you some details about the batch as well. There will be a detailed report that's not available at the moment. That will come a bit later on. As far as reconciling Payday filing information, like I said earlier, it's a bit different to STP because there isn't the year-to-date figures. It's just the figures from that current pay run. We already have a report in Attaché Payroll, the IRD reconciliation report. At the moment, people run this monthly for the EMS, but it does have a date selection on it. So if you select that to the pay date, then that IRD reconciliation report is what we're filing for the Payday filing batch as well. And once you select submit, you'll see a confirmation message on screen to say that the batch has been sent to the Inland Revenue. There's also a link there to track the batch status at MyIR, so you can log on and track the status of the batch and also edit it or modify it there if you need to. That's basically what the solution is looking like. Our Payday filing schedule, and talk a bit about where we're at with Payday filing for those of you that need it for your clients and are waiting for it for your clients. So the Inland Revenue had split the providers into different intakes in New Zealand. So we were in the July intake, which means we sort of did the integration work and passed all that integration testing and got access to production as part of the July intake. We have filed our own payroll data for the last 2 months using Payday filing. So we have had our own information going through, and that's working. So that's good. We are going to look at, now we've got 18.3 out available, hopefully going to bring on a couple of pilot clients in November and December this year. There's still a lot of work that we need to do on the online side to have a full solution, including the user interface and stuff like that. At the moment, I mean, we've got the data flowing obviously between payroll and the Inland Revenue servers because we're filing our own, but there's still a bit of work that needs to be done to make it a bit easier for users to be able to do it and clients to be able to do it as well. The general release, we're going to be looking for January, February next year. We are hoping that the majority of New Zealand payroll clients do take it up January, February. As you have to start filing at the start of the month, there isn't really that many months between now and April, which is when it's mandatory. The Inland Revenue have said there are no deferrals and penalties will apply after the 1st of April mandatory date. So we're just trying to make sure that we get all of our clients using it. Ideally before then, as obviously April's the end of financial year for New Zealand clients as well. So we've got that additional work going on at the same time. So we're advising all the New Zealand clients to use the Payday filing checklist and also contact their partners and make sure that they can schedule with you guys an appropriate time to get upgraded and make sure that they're on the correct version and everything. Then you don't want to get phone calls from clients, 1 or 2 weeks into the month going, okay, let's do this today. You sort of want to be able to plan and prepare for that. So that's what we're pushing, is for everyone to make sure that they're ready and that they pick a month that they would like to start Payday filing in. Once you've opted in this voluntary period, you can't actually opt back out again. Yeah, once you do start Payday filing, you do have to continue Payday filing, but it will be mandatory from the 1st of April onwards anyway. Requirements for Payday filing, obviously need Attaché Payroll 18.3, which hopefully will be released next week, later on this week. So that's the desktop version that is required for Payday filing. Attaché Online, so you need Attaché Online, you need your organisation, you need it all connected, because obviously Attaché Online is the one that's connecting to the Inland Revenue server. So you need to have Attaché Online set up. So again, we're encouraging our clients to get upgraded to 18 and then 18.3 once it's out, and then set up Attaché Online and make sure that that data is flowing forwards and backwards before they start trying to do some Payday filing. So that's sort of the basics of Payday filing. It's a bit of a quick overview. for those of you who have New Zealand payroll sites, hopefully know a bit more about it now and where we're at with the attaché implementation. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. If you've got any other questions about payday filing, feel free to send them through to me, and I can get back to you on those. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this Payday Filing recorded webinar. For more information, please visit Attaché Help at myattache.attachesoftware.com or call the New Zealand office on 0800 288 224.